was close. Didn't hurt, but I still can't play much. Oh, sorry about that. One of my students was here the other day, said, I've seen you do so much stuff with one finger, like with less fingers, or like making a bar with this finger and playing G chords and everything else. Why can't you just play with 3 fingers? And he kind of had a point. But I also was thinking, well, I'd have to revamp everything. You know, when Django Reinhardt lost the use of a couple fingers, he practiced for years to learn how to play what he was doing with 2 fingers, and I'm not ready to go there just yet, but we'll see. It is January 8th. We just had a family birthday here last night, my youngest, and Chris had a birthday this week out in Switzerland. I hope all went well, my friend, and hope to see you soon. I hope we get this Crete thing together and can make a trip over there, because I'm looking really forward to it. So we hope to have some more information about some of the camps coming up pretty soon. And big news probably next week on well, I shouldn't go there. Never mind. We're working on some alternative ways of paying for camp, because I know it's expensive. So we're coming up with a plan. So. Let's see, today I want to talk about a few things, and I'm probably not going to play too much unless I... So, that's the note we needed. Uh-oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to remember this. What am I thinking? What am I doing? I'm going to go... I don't know why that popped into my head. One of my students was asking about the Blood, Sweat and Tears second album by Blood, Sweat and Tears, just called Blood, Sweat and Tears, because the first album wasn't called that, when David Clayton Thomas joined the band. And if you haven't heard that in a long time, it opens up with this theme by Erik Satie, and it's almost a concept album, because they keep coming back to it, and ends with this really jazzy, bluesy thing called Variations on a theme, I think, it's 11-minute closing to the album. And the album had like 6 huge hits on it, and When I Die, Spinning Wheel, and a really obscure one that came to my attention because somebody wanted to play it and have it together for camp next year. Anyway, we're working on an arrangement for that. I'm sure some of you can place it. Today I want to talk about a couple things going on the forum. I want to talk about Steve Vai, of all things, because that was a cool thing that that got posted. I want to talk about metronomes and have some advice about how to figure out what speed a song is at. I hope I remember to do that. The metronome's sitting right there, so I probably will. And then what else? I had one that... And... I got to congratulate the Time Zone Zombies. This is one of the coolest things that has happened at Totally Guitars, as you know, as partly an outgrowth of what everybody's been contributing to the site. So David and Michele, it is so cool, and so you know, you can see how it's inspired people to just think, you know what, it doesn't have to, you just got to do it. So love those tunes. I still haven't heard all of them at once. Haven't had the sit down play through the album. It was kind of cool to see a picture of our European contingent for IGC taken just around the corner here over by the barbecue, and anyway, it's so neat that you guys took that far. David, I mean, I appreciate that the songwriting challenge kind of got you guys started, but you got this. Yeah, I can't even talk about it. It's really thrilled for you guys and proud of you. So way to go. One of the things that when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, and especially was hanging out with my good friend John Dimmick, classical guitar player, who could just, oh, I must be nuts. Who could blast through stuff like this just beautifully. Like I can't. And this. This is the easy part. There's no singing in this. Why should I be talking? That's too many notes. Anyway, where's I going with this story? My good friend John was typical of a lot of classical guitar players. I guess I was always interested in making up my own stuff and writing things or something. And classical players tend to feel, John wasn't so much like this, but tend to feel, well, yes he was, tend to feel that there's no, nothing worthwhile can come out of somebody who's maybe just a guitar player or just a, like songwriters and composers have this special power that enables them to do this. And you know, when we think about great songwriters, Billy Joel, Paul McCartney, Al Stewart, they probably had some predisposed ability to do something. But they also weren't afraid to just jump in and do it and see what happens. And the comment about, you know, your first 100 songs are going to be all throwaways, well, you know, we've got some throwaways that made it to records. Don't Bother Me is a good example of a first song by a songwriter that happened to be put on an album. And he looked back at it many years later feeling like he had no idea what he was doing. But sure enough, just a few years later, all of a sudden we had this. Okay, I could tell it wasn't going to hurt too much. Started up here the whole time. I wouldn't play very much. I gotta work on that. Might make a cool instrumental. I'm not sure if that'd be the best key. Might be better in G. Then we have to start on C. How would that work? Oh, this is gonna be much better. Teach people to do that in, oh, and then of course it's going to be, oh, how we didn't do that. Let me think, Neil. E6 with a G, there we go. got to get back to playing the guitar. That's what's happened for about the last, this has been like almost 5 weeks since the incident, and not working. Okay, I got to get back to the news. Let me see. What happened? The Time Zone Zombies, you guys got me sidetracked into be creative and be willing to try stuff. What's it going to hurt? You just saw me. Okay, maybe that's a bad choice here. I can tell you what that hurt, but it shouldn't have. So, okay, still have a few more other things to talk about. Metronomes, something else. Steve Vai. Oh, quickly, what we did have this week was Fred, little ear training thing of Fred running through my back pages. Want to thank Vanessa for her Jose Gonzalez song, Heartbeats. And then, and reviews. So I think I'm pretty much caught up on stuff that I could review. Dean, I watched your thing of Nick Drake, and I'm speechless. That was fabulous. The other one, I had some tips on The Fisherman, and then for Ron, had a few on Lady Nothing. Hope to actually see some updates on those a little bit later. And speaking of reviews, since I'm a little hindered with lessons right now, I have more time to do reviews. So it'd be great if people put some stuff up next week. Doesn't have to be. I loved it when Scott did his work in progress of was it Angelina? I think so. Maybe not. Anyway, no, it was, okay. Gotta engage the brain again someday. And then, the big thing that this has affected is I couldn't get any further on my While My Guitar Gently Weeps lesson, but I will. And we at least got tab up to get you guys started, so I hope that's working out. And let me think. Was there anything else that happened out there? I don't think so. Not along those lines. So, the last two things I want to talk about. And you know what? I might actually spend a little more time playing the guitar today. My nurse friend neighbor across the street gave me this thing yesterday called New Skin. That is like this goopy stuff that covers up missing layers of skin. It might help. Feel a little bit better already today, and a little less gooey. Okay. I'll spare you that. Steve Vai, interesting character, and his first comment, that's the only one I'm going to talk about, was that he his top 10 tips or something. You gotta kind of appreciate the fact that tips that work for Steve are maybe not for everybody. And his first one of don't waste your time working on your weak points, work on your strong points. That's maybe good advice for somebody who wants to be like the best in the world at the one thing they do. Should Michael Jordan take up baseball? Should Barry Sanders? Well, let me think about this. Very rarely can somebody excel at that level in multiple things, and so the people that are, Eric Clapton would be a good little example of a bad example of that, because great finger picking stuff, great lead playing, everything else. So Steve's advice to work on your strong points, I think it does not really apply to every man guitar player or every woman guitar player or anybody that plays the guitar that does it kind of recreationally or for a hobby or for their own enjoyment. If you want to rule the world at whatever, then that might be good advice. Concentrate on the stuff you're good at, whether it's lead playing or flashy finger picking or whatever. But most guitar players want, especially guitar students, want to be more diverse and have a lot of different interests. And of course, a new student walks into me and to a lesson, and I say, well, who do you like to listen to? He says, well, I like to listen to Eric Clapton and Julian Bream and Yngwie Malmsteen. And I say, okay, let's see. So which of those guys would you like to be able to play like? All of them. Okay, let's start with, here's a C chord, here's a D chord, here's an A minor chord. Let's start with, let's see how that works. And if that works, let's try this. Anyway, so I might look at that again and see his other tips. I only went a little bit further into it. I didn't get all the way to number 10 in there. I didn't have the 8 minutes it took right then to look at it, or however long it was. But that's my take on that. Okay, Jay, great question about metronomes. Let me get resituated here and grab my metronome. But well, actually, I don't know if I even need this. But let me tell you a little bit about a piece of advice that could help you figure out the timing to the tempo to a song, the speed of the song. The metronome markings, of course, are based on beats per second. So if you set it at 60, it'll be clicking 1 per second. So there are a couple things you could do. One is you could just start tapping the song and see, well, am I going faster or slower than 1 beat a second? This is way faster than 1 a second. You know, you could be looking, oh, my clock doesn't have a minute hand. Great, not well planned. It's got an hour hand. This might take too long. But the first thing is, another thing you could do is start tapping along with the song. Suppose you got something playing. Look at your clock. Count how many of these happen in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, there were 11. I just went 10 seconds. No, I didn't. I only went 8 seconds. Because my clock doesn't have a minute hand. And that one's hidden behind the shirts. Okay. Bad planning. Anyway, one way or another, like if you're going to check your heart rate after working out or something, you're going to look at a clock and maybe take it for 10 seconds and then multiply that times 6, or take it for 15 seconds and multiply it times 4, or take it for the whole minute and then you'll know. So you could just start tapping like this, take a look at the clock and see, okay, if in 10 seconds, you know what, I hit 19 taps right there in 10 seconds. Multiply that out times 6, what do you get, 114? And then you dial up your metronome to 114, and that's slower than what I was just doing. That's because I didn't have like a real clock, I was just guessing. The other thing I do sometimes is if I could be playing something we'd be listening to something, and I'd start tapping along with it, and I'd say, okay, it's going this fast. And then I'd start my metronome right on a beat. Okay, I already had that beat in my head because that's what I just heard, so that's not fair. So let me pick a song. Too slow. Speed it up. Much closer. So it takes a little bit of practice to get used to, is this going faster or slower than what I'm hearing on the recording? But many things are around 120. 120 is kind of like the typical rock beat. So that's very often the speed you're looking for to start with, and something's going to be a little faster. Let me see, if I did something like but we know that in Judy, these, I'm tapping measures. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But if I can figure out, this might be more down in the 70 or 80 range. Let's see whether this is 80. It's a little faster than that. Let's try 90. There we go. That's faster than I was going. Let's try 84. That's a little slower. So I'm somewhere between 84 and 90, but that's for like a whole measure split into 3. So, you know, if we were thinking it's maybe, if it was 80, but I want to set it for quarter notes, my metronome won't even go that fast. I don't think it goes up to 240, does it? Let's see. Oh, it might. That might be the limit. Let me see. 240, 241. Oh, it goes to 250. Okay. So, if I set it for 240, that's each quarter note beat. slower than what I was playing, because we really determined it was more like around 285, which would be, what, 255. And well, we'll take this up to 250. Oh, it was a 250. Okay, it's driving me nuts. Okay, so a song like Judy is what we call it. Is kind of a compound time, because it's not really compound, but we count. There's our 120. That's 2 beats a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. So seconds would be going. Oh, I still look at my clock and I still don't have any second hands on it, but you get the idea. I might put together a little bit more detailed thing on this. Maybe we'll put it up next week as as one of the quick tips that has sort of fallen by the wayside too in the last few weeks. So, okay, I think that's all I had to talk about. That song just jumps in my head. I don't know why. Okay, that is probably enough for today. And if all goes well, oh, one other big thing that I hope is going to happen next week. I just got a message from my friend Max that he's got a few more lessons for us in the pipeline. So I really appreciate him stepping up while I'm kind of semi out of commission here. And we'll be looking forward to a couple more acoustic lessons on classic rock songs. So keep an eye out for that next week. A little bit more from Max Rich. Okay, that's it for January 8th.